I took the job because my daughter hadn't eaten in almost a day. That's the truth. Not ambition, not pride, not hope, hunger. I remember standing outside those iron gates in Rockford Heights thinking, if this goes wrong, I have nowhere else to take her. The gates were open. That was the first thing that felt off. No security booth, no cameras, just silence and a mansion so large it didn't look lived in. It looked haunted by money. Mira clung to my neck. She was 4, too light in my arms. Daddy, she whispered, breath warm against my skin. I'm hungry. I know, baby. The listing had said immediate hire, cash, room for family. No questions asked. Nobody writes that unless something is wrong. 7:58 a.m. 2 minutes before whatever changed our lives. A man in a tailored suit walked down the driveway toward me. Perfect hair, cold eyes. You're the new hire, he said, already judging. Rowan Hale, I answered. Groundskeeper. He didn't shake my hand. Spencer Duval, property manager. People don't last here. I shifted Mira higher. I'm not people. I'm a father. His mouth twitched. Not a smile. Something sharper. Then she appeared. At the top of the stone steps. White linen dress. Dark hair loose over her shoulders. Bare face, tired eyes. But it wasn't her beauty that stopped me. It was the sadness in her. She looked at Mira first. Not me. You brought a child, she said softly. Yes, ma'am. The listing said, she can stay. Spencer stiffened. Miss Concade, the board. I make decisions here. Her voice didn't rise. It didn't need to. She stepped closer and handed me a set of keys. When our fingers touched, something passed between us. Not attraction, recognition, like we both knew what it felt like to lose everything. Everyone says they won't let me down, she said quietly. I won't, I told her. But as I walked toward the small cottage behind the mansion, I felt it, the weight of the house watching. And I didn't know yet. I wasn't the only one who needed saving. The cottage looked like it had been forgotten on purpose. Small stone walls, moss climbing the corners, windows dusty but unbroken. Still, it had 2 bedrooms. 2. I hadn't seen 2 bedrooms in over a year. Mira slipped from my arms and pushed the door open like it was Christmas morning. The air smelled like dust and old wood, but the furniture was solid. Beds made, dishes stacked neatly in cabinets. It wasn't luxury, it was safety. And safety felt dangerous to want. Daddy, she called from the tiny kitchen. There's food. I froze. Bread, eggs, butter, soup. My throat tightened so fast it hurt. When was the last time we had choices? I whispered. She ate toast and scrambled eggs so quickly she hiccuped. I made her slow down, rubbing her back gently. I forced myself to eat slower, because part of me was terrified this would disappear if I moved too fast. Through the window, I saw staff crossing the grounds. A gardener trimming roses. 2 housekeepers whispering near the service entrance. They kept glancing at the mansion, like it might wake up. I stepped outside for air and nearly ran into a woman in her 50s with tired eyes. Sorry, I said. Rowan, new groundskeeper. I know who you are, she replied quietly. Charlene. There was something in her expression. Pity. Listen, she leaned closer. Don't ask questions. Don't go into the West Wing and don't trust anyone. My stomach tightened. Why? The last groundskeeper quit in 3 days. The one before that lasted a week. And before that? She hesitated. Just keep your daughter close. She walked away before I could press her. West Wing. I didn't mean to look, but I did. The door at the far end of the mansion hallway stood slightly open. Light flickered underneath. Not electric light. Candlelight. Warm, alive. I took 1 step closer. I wouldn't. Spencer's voice. He stood 10 feet behind me, arms crossed. That wing is off limits. Break that rule and you're gone. What's in there? Nothing that concerns you. He walked away, smiling without warmth. That night, as I tucked Mira into bed, she clutched my shirt. That house feels sad, she whispered. I laughed softly. It's just big, baby. But long after she fell asleep, I stood at the window, and I saw it. A single candle burning in the West Wing, and a shadow moving behind the glass, watching. I should have left that first night. That's what a smart man would have done. But I'm not just a man. I'm a father with nowhere else to go. The cottage was quiet once the sun dipped behind the trees. Too quiet. The kind of quiet that presses against your ears until you start hearing things that aren't there. Mira explored every corner like it was an adventure. She found a tiny closet and declared it her secret castle. I let her. Because for the first time in months, she sounded like a child instead of someone surviving. I stood at the kitchen sink and watched the main house through the window. 3 stories of stone and glass. Not warm, not welcoming, just watching. Daddy, Mira said softly behind me. Do rich houses get lonely? The question hit harder than it should have. Maybe, I said. Maybe people inside them do. She nodded like that made sense. Later, after her bath, she wouldn't close her eyes. What if they make us leave? She whispered. They won't. But I didn't know that. I tucked her rabbit under her arm and kissed her forehead. I'm right here. I'm not going anywhere. That was the promise I'd made the day her mother walked out. The promise I could never break. Around midnight, I woke to something. Not a sound exactly, a feeling. I went to the window. The west wing was lit again, candlelight flickering against tall windows. And there, clearer this time, a shadow, still, watching the grounds, watching the cottage. My pulse picked up. Why candles? Why keep one section of the house alive like a shrine? The next morning I started clearing the fountain. Dead leaves, algae, months of neglect. Work grounded me. Work made things simple. You're up early. Her voice behind me. I turned. Helena stood on the terrace in jeans and a gray sweater, coffee in hand. No makeup, no performance. She looked younger, human. Habit, I said. Used to own a mechanic shop. What happened? Life, loss, pride. But I only said it closed. Her eyes studied me like she could see the rest anyway. Then Mira's voice rang out. Daddy! She stood in the cottage doorway, panic in her eyes. I crossed to her fast, too fast. She wrapped herself around me. I thought you left, she whispered. I felt Helena watching that moment. And when I looked up, her expression had changed. Like she wasn't just seeing a groundskeeper anymore. Like she was remembering something she'd lost. I didn't mean to notice her. That's the dangerous part. It wasn't her beauty. It was the way she watched me hold my daughter like it mattered. Like she was studying something she'd forgotten how to have. Mira didn't let go of my shirt for a full minute. I'm right here, I whispered again. Helena looked away first. Children sense instability, she said quietly. This house has had too much of it. There it was again, that crack in her voice. I wanted to ask what she meant. I didn't. You'll start at dawn tomorrow, she continued, folding herself back into composure. The fountain, the hedges, the greenhouse. Spencer will give you a schedule. Spencer, like a shadow summoned by his own name, he stepped onto the terrace. We'll review expectations, he said, eyes sliding over me. Standards here are high. I work hard, I replied. His smile was thin. We'll see. Helena didn't defend me, but she didn't look convinced by him either. That uncertainty sat between us like an invisible line. Later that afternoon, while Mira drew chalk flowers on the cottage steps, I wandered closer to the west wing. Not because I wanted trouble, because I wanted answers. The door was shut this time, but I could still feel something behind it. Grief has weight, and that hallway felt heavy. You were warned. Spencer's voice again. He enjoyed appearing without sound. What's in there? I asked, keeping my tone calm. History, he replied. The kind that buries men who dig too deep. That wasn't a warning. It was a threat. That night Mira fought sleep again. Tell me the good story, she whispered. The one about the little girl who finds a home? She nodded. So I told it, about a father and a daughter, who kept walking until they found a place that didn't push them out. Is this that place? She asked softly. I hesitated. I don't know yet. She finally drifted off. I stood by the window. The west wing lit up again. And this time, I wasn't the only one watching. Across the lawn on the second-floor balcony, Helena stood alone in the dark, looking toward the same wing, holding something in her hand, a candle. And I realized, whatever haunted that side of the house, it haunted her too. I should have kept my head down. That was the deal I made with myself. Work, protect Mira, don't get involved. But the house had a pulse, and it beat loudest in the west wing. 3 days passed without incident. I fixed the fountain, trimmed hedges, repaired a broken greenhouse latch. Mira stayed close, drawing flowers and talking to the stray cat that wandered near the cottage. Helena began appearing more often. Not formally, just there, watching progress, asking small questions. You work like you're trying to outrun something, she said once. Maybe I am. She didn't press. That restraint did something to me. It made me want to tell her anyway. On Thursday she surprised us. Lunch on the terrace, she said. Both of you. Spencer's jaw tightened, but he said nothing. The table was set with china, real linen, sunlight warming the stone. Mira talked the entire time. About her rabbit, about the cat, about how the mansion felt less sad in the daytime. Helena listened like every word mattered. No phone, no distraction. When Mira ran off to chase a butterfly, silence fell between us. You don't seem afraid of me, Helena said. I think you're afraid of yourself, I answered before I could stop myself. Her eyes flashed. Excuse me? I mean, you're careful, like you're waiting for something to go wrong. Her posture stiffened. And you're not? I am, I admitted. But I don't let it make decisions for me. Something in her face softened, then tightened again. You don't know what I've lost. No, I said quietly. But I know what it looks like when someone builds walls to survive it. The air shifted. Not romantic, not yet, but intimate. And that scared me more than Spencer ever could. That evening, Mira screamed. I ran inside. She was sitting upright in bed, shaking. There was someone, she gasped, pointing at the window. A man. I checked the yard, empty. Where? In the big house, she whispered. He was crying. I turned slowly toward the mansion, and in the west wing window, a candle flickered, and a shadow stood behind the glass, still watching us. The next morning, Mira was gone. That's how fear really feels. Not loud, not dramatic, just cold. I reached across the bed and touched nothing but sheets. My heart stopped. Mira? I called, already moving. The cottage door was open. I ran barefoot across the grass toward the mansion, panic rising in my throat like bile. I found her in the west wing hallway, standing perfectly still, looking up at a portrait. A young man, dark hair, sharp jaw, familiar eyes. The nameplate read Marcus Concade, 95-2019. Mira, I breathed, rushing to her. What are you doing? I heard him, she whispered. Heard who? She pointed at the painting. He's sad. Footsteps echoed. Helena appeared at the end of the corridor, and when she saw Mira in front of that portrait, the air left her lungs. How did she get in here? She demanded, but her voice was shaking. I'm sorry, I said quickly. I woke up and she was gone. This wing is locked. It wasn't this morning. That landed. Her eyes flicked toward the door, then back to the portrait. Why is he sad? Mira asked. Helena went still. For a second, I thought she wouldn't answer. Then her voice broke. Because he's not here anymore. Where did he go? That's enough, she said sharply. The mask returned. She turned to me. Keep her out of this wing. Something about the way she said this made it feel bigger than a hallway, bigger than a room. I carried Mira back to the cottage. She clung to my neck. He fell, she whispered against my ear. My blood ran cold. Who told you that? No one, he did. I told myself she was a child. Children imagine things. But that afternoon, Charlene approached me quietly near the greenhouse. You should know, she said. Marcus didn't just die. He fell from the third-floor balcony. An accident? That's what they said. And you? She hesitated. I've worked here 15 years. Marcus wasn't clumsy. A chill crept up my spine. That night, as I watched the West Wing again, I didn't just see candlelight. I saw movement, and I realized something terrifying. Whatever happened to Marcus, it wasn't finished. I told myself to stay out of it. Marcus wasn't my family. His fall wasn't my fight. But the next morning, Spencer handed me a folder, and everything changed. Work logs, he said flatly. Miss Concade is concerned about your performance. I frowned. What logs? The daily reports you're required to submit. No one told me about reports. His smile was slow, satisfied. That's not my problem. Something tightened in my chest. This wasn't about hedges. It was positioning. That afternoon, Helena barely looked at me. Professional, distant. The warmth from lunch on the terrace? Gone. Doubt had returned to her eyes. And I hated that it mattered to me. That night, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. You don't belong here. Leave before she destroys you. Another message followed. Ask her what really happened to Marcus. My pulse kicked up. I stepped outside. Spencer stood 20 feet away near the hedges, phone in hand, watching me. He smiled, then walked off. The next morning, Helena called an emergency staff meeting. Her hands were trembling. $50,000 was transferred from the estate's emergency fund yesterday, she said. A hush fell. Spencer stepped forward with a tablet. I traced the credentials used. He turned the screen toward her. My name glowed at the top. My throat went dry. That's impossible, I said. I don't have access to any accounts. The logs say otherwise. Every eye turned to me. Helena's gaze locked onto mine. Searching. Please, I thought, see me. Miss Concade, I said carefully. I didn't do this. Mira appeared in the doorway of the study. Confused, scared. Enough, Helena snapped. The word cut. Charlene, take the child. No, Mira ran to me, wrapping her arms around my leg. Don't be mad at Daddy. Helena flinched. Spencer stepped closer. There are emails as well. Property transfers. Trust research. It appears Mr. Hale planned ahead. That's a lie. The timestamps don't lie. Helena closed her eyes. When she opened them, the walls were back up. "You're fired," she said. Her voice was steady, cold. "Leave within the hour." Something inside me broke. Not because of the job, because she didn't believe me. And as I carried Mira back through those iron gates, I realized the house hadn't destroyed me. Trust had. I've been poor before. I've been tired. I've been humiliated. But carrying my daughter past those gates, while she cried for someone who had just turned her back on us, that was different. That hurt somewhere deeper. Mira wouldn't stop looking over my shoulder. "Is Miss Helena mad at us forever?" she asked, voice small. I swallowed hard. "She thinks I did something wrong." "But you didn't." "I know. The worst part? I wanted Helena to run after us. She didn't. We tried 3 shelters. Full. Another one. Waitlist. By sunset, we were sitting behind a grocery store with a plastic bag of bread and peanut butter bought with my last $10. Mira took 3 bites, then stopped. "I'm not hungry." That's how I knew she was scared. That night, she slept against my chest on cold pavement. I didn't sleep at all. Meanwhile, somewhere across town, Helena was wide awake too. I didn't know that then. Didn't know she was pacing her bedroom, replaying the look on my face. Didn't know she called the bank at 2 a.m., or that what she learned would change everything. The next morning, I felt someone watching. I looked up. Helena stood near the edge of the alley. No makeup, no composure, just exhaustion. "What are you doing here?" I asked, standing slowly. "I made a mistake," she said. My jaw tightened. "You think?" "Spencer framed you. The bank caught another transfer last night. Same credentials. Different account." I said nothing. The account belonged to Spencer. My pulse slowed, then sped up again. "You threw us out," I said quietly. My daughter cried herself to sleep, thinking she did something wrong. Her voice broke. "I know. That doesn't fix it." "No," she whispered. "But I'm trying." I wanted to believe her. God, I wanted to. But trust isn't rebuilt with apologies. It's rebuilt with proof. She stepped closer. "I was falling for you," she admitted, eyes shining. And that terrified me more than the lie. That confession hit harder than the accusation ever did. And suddenly, this wasn't just about money. It was about fear. About 2 people so scared of losing again, they almost lost something real. The house in North Rockford was small. 2 bedrooms, a clean kitchen, a backyard with a rusted swing set. It wasn't a mansion. It felt like peace. Mira ran from room to room like she'd been handed a kingdom. "Is this really ours?" she asked. "For now," I said carefully. Because I'd learned something the hard way. Nothing is permanent. Not jobs. Not love. Not safety. 3 days passed. Helena didn't push. She sent groceries through Charlene, made sure utilities stayed paid. No strings. That restraint mattered more than grand gestures ever could. On the 4th day, she called. "I need to show you something," she said. Her voice wasn't fragile anymore. It was steady. An hour later, we were back at the estate. This time, it didn't feel like a trap. It felt like unfinished business. Helena spread documents across her office desk. Bank logs, security timestamps, emails traced to ghost servers, and one file labeled Marcus Final Report. "He confronted Spencer," she said quietly, "about missing funds. That night, Spencer was in the West Wing 30 minutes before Marcus fell. Police didn't catch that?" Spencer controlled the reports. Rage flickered behind her calm. "The balcony railing had a repair order," she continued. Spencer canceled it. I looked at the timeline. The pattern was undeniable. "This is enough," I said. "I'm going to the police tomorrow." Mira tugged Helena's sleeve. "Can we see the sad man?" Helena hesitated, then nodded. We walked to the West Wing together. No locked doors this time. No shadows. Just quiet. Helena stood in front of her brother's portrait. "His name was Marcus," she told Mira softly. "He took care of me when our parents died." "Who takes care of you now?" Mira asked. Helena glanced at me. The question hung in the air longer than it should have. "I'm learning," she answered. Mira studied the painting carefully. "He's not sad anymore." Helena blinked. "How do you know?" "Because you're telling the truth." That did something to her, to both of us. As we walked back toward the garden, Helena fell into step beside me. "Would you forgive someone who hurt you?" she asked quietly. "If they were trying to make it right?" I didn't answer immediately, because forgiveness isn't about words. It's about trust, and I was still deciding if my heart was ready. Spencer was arrested on a Tuesday morning. Fraud, embezzlement, and after the case reopened, manslaughter. I didn't go to watch. Helena did. She told me later she felt no victory. Just release, like a breath she'd been holding for 3 years, finally left her lungs. That afternoon she asked us to come by. The estate looked different, lighter. The west wing doors stood open. No candles, no shadows, just sunlight. We sat on the terrace, coffee for us, hot chocolate for Mira. The board wants me to sell, Helena said. They think the scandal damaged the name. And what do you think? I asked. I think running would mean Spencer still wins. That strength in her voice, it wasn't fragile anymore. It was earned. I meant what I said about the job, she continued. Operations manager, I need someone I trust. You trust me now? I asked gently. Yes. No hesitation. That mattered. Mira ran across the lawn chasing butterflies, laughter echoing against stone that once felt cold. This place doesn't feel sad anymore, she shouted. Helena smiled at that. I'm starting a foundation in Marcus's name, she said. Job training, housing support, childcare, families like yours, families like mine. The words hit deep. I'll take the job, I said quietly. But not because I need saving. I know, she replied. Because you're ready. We walked toward the garden where Mira waited. She grabbed both our hands without asking permission. Are we a family now? She asked. Helena and I looked at each other. Not rushed, not dramatic, just steady. I think we are, I answered. Our fingers brushed. This time neither of us pulled away. 6 months later the fountain runs again. The gardens bloom. The West Wing holds a gallery honoring Marcus instead of secrets. The job nobody wanted became the reason my daughter laughs freely again. It became the reason Helena trusts again. It became the place we both stopped surviving and started living. And if you ask me now whether I regret walking through those gates, no, because sometimes the thing that scares you most is exactly where your future is waiting.